Hi, welcome to another episode of POSTSCRIPT from DNR Media. I'm Shane Metlin from the Daily News Record here with Lori D'Angelo, another DNR reporter. This is a show where we talk a little bit about just a story that's running or going to run in the Daily News Record, both online and in print, and talk a little bit about the process of how it came together, why somebody decided to write this particular story, things like that. You can check out the previous episode we did with Katie Harper on this, but it's another show from DNR Media on our podcast channel here at the Daily News Record. So, Lori, this is a perfect one, I think, to talk about as the calendar switches over to December and everybody kind of gets in Christmas mode because it's a holiday story. It's a feel good one. It's something great happening in the community. So tell me a little bit about what you wrote about this golf tournament and the whole thing that's coming up about people just really making sure kids who maybe aren't as fortunate as a lot of us are can have like a nice holiday season.
Yeah, so I wrote about a toy drive where Justin Harpine, who lives in Harrisonburg, is partnering with Shenley Golf Course and Lakeside Books to collect toys and teddy bears for like children and families in need. And the toys and the teddy bears they collect go to various nonprofit organizations, including the Yellow Door Foundation in Charlottesville, UVA Children's Hospital, First Step, which is a domestic violence shelter. They also have other services in Harrisonburg, and then also like Boys and Girls Clubs. So there's a lot of different nonprofit organizations that they work with to provide toys and teddy bears to children and families in need. And then tomorrow they are scheduled to have a golf tournament. I do not know if that will be impacted by the weather, but as of last that I know, it's scheduled to be at 10 o'clock. And as part of the tournament, the players who register pay like the registration fees, but then they also bring like a toy or a teddy bear to help with the toy drive.
Yeah. Full disclosure, as we record this Friday morning, I know Lori was just on the phone trying to find out if they were going to continue to have the golf tournament part of this, because we look outside and it's snow still coming down right now as we record this out the window right outside here. But regardless of if they have the tournament, I think it sounds like, it's still like a great fundraising thing, a great thing for the community. How did you find out about Justin Harpine? And, did you know him ahead of time? Like, how did you kind of find out that he was doing this and what he does for the community?
So I am not sure if I'd ever encountered him. Like, he is active in a lot of different local nonprofits, like not just this toy drive, but he has dressed up as Santa at UVA Children's Hospital. He's worked with the Yellow Door Foundation, which it's a foundation that provides basically housing, like free housing to families whose children are getting like treatment or they need to stay over for an extended period of time at UVA. So like children who are getting organ transplants, children who are in the NICU, children who are getting cancer treatments. So it provides like a furnished apartment, because a lot of families are commuting to Charlottesville from like outside of Charlottesville. And if you're going there every day or your child is going to be there for like weeks and weeks or months and months, it can get really expensive and like take a physical and mental and financial toll to have to be driving back and forth. So some of the families that benefit from the foundation services live here in the Shenandoah Valley. And so the way that I found out about the story was I had covered the Salvation Army's Kettle Kickoff in Bridgewater, which was at the beginning of November. And during that event, like various members of the board and staff members were present at the event. And then a couple weeks later, I saw one of the staff members from the Salvation Army when I was grocery shopping, actually at Bridgewater Foods. And he had mentioned to me that Justin does this toy drive, and that one of the nonprofits it benefits is the Yellow Door Foundation. And the person that I ran into was like, do you think you might be able to write about this? I'm like, well, I can look into it because I didn't know anything about it. And then he sent me Justin's contact information, and then I just reached out, and then we like arranged to meet up in Harrisonburg, and he told me about the toy drive. And it doesn't just happen at the golf course. They do collect toys at the golf course through theoretically tomorrow morning, but they also collect toys at Lakeside Books, which is where he works. And Lakeside Books is a company that has offices in Harrisonburg. And so they are collecting donations through the 15th of December at Lakeside Books. So there are like many ways that people can participate.
Yeah. I'm curious, how often does that end up happening to you where it's just you're doing something routine throughout the day, like going grocery shopping or things? I know I run into this sometimes, but like, you're just doing something grocery shopping and you come up with a story idea because they know you work for the DNR, or you start chatting with somebody like randomly. Like, does that happen often for you?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of does. Like, I'll be like at Walmart or something, and someone who I've interviewed for a story before will be like, hey, I know this other thing that's happening. Can I let you know about it? And then like sometimes it'll end up being a story and sometimes not, but I like always try to look into it. And then also like another way that I find a lot of stories, I'll just be out like grocery shopping. I'll be like, oh, look at this cool product that's made by a local company. Let's see, like, what is this company? And then sometimes I'll just like reach out. And then like the other way I kind of find a lot of stories is just I'll see a post on like Facebook or Instagram about something going on. I'm like, this looks cool. I wonder. So yeah, I mean, I think those are like some of the main ways that I end up getting stories, just like seeing something or someone giving me a tip or hearing about something.
Yeah. And so you heard about this from somebody else. When you give Justin Harpine a call, like what's his reaction to getting a call from the newspaper? Was he expecting it, or like?
Well, I think I'd actually emailed him and said like, I got your information from so-and-so who told me that you were doing this fundraiser. Are you willing to talk to me about it? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And then we arranged to meet up at actually like Merge Coffee, which is like right down the street from here. And then he just like explained to me the process, and then he like showed me some of the pictures of the toy drive. Like I was surprised that he was like basically, I mean, he has worked with other organizations, but it kind of just started with him like being like, hey, I think there's a need for this, and then him reaching out to these other organizations, some of which he like volunteers for regularly and stuff now, but to like set it up and put it all together. Like I thought it was pretty impressive that he is able to collect like thousands of toys and teddy bears each year for a lot of like organizations that you may not think of necessarily. Like I don't think a lot of people like necessarily would think about like families whose kids are like in the hospital for an extended period of time. But like, I mean, I know that like I didn't have to travel to be in the hospital, but both my kids actually, when they were born, ended up having like complications. And like my older son was in the NICU because he stopped breathing 2 hours after he was born. And then my younger son ended up having to go back to the hospital for like a week because he was like released into the wild. He couldn't go to the NICU, so he was on like the children's floor for like a week until they never actually really figured out what was wrong with him. But they like treated him and then like released him.
Yeah, and everybody I think has probably heard like the Ronald McDonald House at a lot of hospitals the size of UVA have. I wasn't really even aware that there was something very similar at UVA. So I think stories like this, fundraising things like this, probably open up a lot of people's eyes, or at least it did in my case, to find out a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So the Aldo Foundation, it's I believe it's based in Charlottesville, but it does like basically serve, because UVA is basically the probably like the most specialized hospital, especially for children in the region, because like here in Rockingham County we have Centera, and then in Augusta County you have UVA or Augusta Health, but neither of those hospitals has like a NICU. So like people with children who need more specialized types of treatments often are going to need to go to UVA, and that's true too with like Page County. Like a lot of this a lot of the surrounding counties.
Yeah, definitely. Around this area. The other one you mentioned was the shelter for maybe people who have suffered, domestic abuse or domestic issues like that. And that's another one I wouldn't have necessarily thought of, but clearly people in that situation, may be like taking their kids into like something they didn't want to do, or maybe they try to delay something until after the holidays. And maybe this creates the option they don't have to like think that way, that like they could possibly be able to still give their kids the kind of holiday they want, even if there's, things going on like that.
Yeah, I think that like I believe that Justin reaches out to several domestic violence shelters, not just the one in Harrisonburg, but I think that like basically anytime you have an emergency, whether it's like a health emergency where you have to go to UVA, or like an emergency like you need to go to a shelter, you have to leave all your stuff behind.
Mm-hmm. So when you met Justin Harpine, it sounds like this was something that's pretty near and dear to his heart, like with his personal experiences, throughout his life.
Yeah, he had mentioned, because I had asked him kind of like why he wanted to do this, and so he had told me that, I mean, he enjoys golf, so he has basically he works with Chevrolet Golf Course and helps with some of their events, but he also he felt like this cause was important because he had shared with me that he was raised by a single mother, and when he was growing up, sometimes that his family struggled, and he had gotten like aid from the Salvation Army and stuff, so he knew kind of like what it was like to have to struggle during the holidays, and that he realized that there was like a need out there for people who needed toys and like things for their children during the holiday time. And because he had like experienced that himself, it was something that he was especially like sensitive to and interested in. And he had also shared with me some stories about like families and like the hardships they were going through. Like he had particularly shared a story of a woman who her son was getting an organ transplant at UVA, and she said like basically Justin was playing Santa, and the son couldn't see Santa because he couldn't like basically have contact with anyone because he needed to, like, because he was immunosuppressed and he couldn't like encounter like basically germs from other people because he was preparing for the surgery. And so Justin wasn't able to see him, but he was able to make sure he got like the big stuffed animal that he wanted. And then he later did find out that the child's surgery was successful. So like stories like that, like I feel like it really demonstrates that like a toy or stuffed animal might not seem like a big thing, but like when a family is like struggling and having to undergo like difficult circumstances, whether because of like domestic violence or a health emergency, that like a small thing like a toy can really, kind of feel like make a kid and a family feel more like at home, and like kind of give them more of a sense of like comfort during a difficult time in their lives.
Yeah. So people who either listening to this or read the story in the paper or online and decide they want to do more or help out, get involved, whether they play golf or not, or are available this weekend, how do people kind of do this here as the holiday season really is upon us?
So I think through tomorrow, but I would like talk with the golf course or Justin on this. They are collecting donations at Chevrolet Golf Course. And Justin's phone number is 540-271-6116. And then also you can reach out to Krista Stroderman, who at Lakeside Books as well. And her phone number is 540-564-9557. And so they are looking not just for donations of toys or teddy bears, but like if you can't go shopping and you want to make a donation, you could make a monetary donation, and they could like basically use that to purchase toys or gifts. Or if you're like, well, I'd like to donate, but I can't really do that right now, they also are looking for people to help wrap the gifts, because they like wrap all the toys and teddy bears or like put them in a gift bag or do something before they deliver all the items that they've collected to the different places that they go, and they go to like many different places, not just like the shelters and people whose kids are in the hospital, but also like some boys and girls clubs in the area. So there's a lot of different ways that like basically a small toy drive has expanded over the years. I believe that this is the 6th time they've been doing it, and they're trying to like collect more toys and teddy bears each year, and so that they can like try to meet the need, because there is a lot of need, especially at this time of year, to kind of make the holidays brighter for a lot of people in the community.
Yeah, well, thank you, Lori, for coming on, talking a little bit about the story and the process of getting it in the paper. Once again, this is Postscript from DNR Media. I'm Shane Metlin here with Lori D'Angelo. Be sure to check out other podcasts on DNR Media, including Purple and Bold, where we talk about JMU sports, and there's been a lot going on there. So we've had multiple episodes here recently talking about JMU football and their coaching search and their championship chase and everything like that. So check out all the shows on DNR Media, and thank you once again for tuning in.